I just want to show you some of the tomatoes that I'll be growing this year. I usually try and find different ones to grow because you grow the same old ones and to be honest with you it gets a little bit boring. So I like to grow a variety of colours and of sizes. One of these I have been hunting for a very long time and I finally found it and I'll show you that in a minute. But the first one is called Big Red. Now these are like beefsteak tomatoes and they need to be grown in a greenhouse, so that's quite handy because I have one. I usually do grow my tomatoes in a greenhouse because they seem to get they're less prone to blight when they're in the greenhouse because you can control the temperature inside and also where the water falls. Blight is caused by very humid temperatures and water falling on the leaves, which is why it's always best if you water your tomatoes from the bottom rather than from the top. Obviously when you're outside you can't control where the rain falls, unfortunately, so that's why blight is more, you're more likely to get it when your tomatoes grow outside. So more success inside. Oh, we'll have to get those in a minute, I've just dropped them down the side. The other ones, I have grown these before, and these ones are called San Marzano. These are very nice. They're a little bit like plum tomatoes, so they'll be oval in shape. Sometimes these can be yellow and sometimes they can be red. So I think these are red ones, but we'll see. And the other ones, these are the ones I've been searching for time and time again, and I finally found them, and they're called Green Zebra. No, they're not black and white, but they are green and they have lighter green stripes on them. I mean, can you just imagine all of these tomatoes, these three different ones, on a plate? I mean, they would look absolutely amazing. So these are the three I'm going to sow today, and hopefully they'll do really well this year. Beefsteak tomatoes can be quite tricky because they can get quite heavy, so you really need to make sure that you stake the plant really well. So I'm just going to show you how I'm going to sow those. It is drizzling even though I'm in the greenhouse. It's not raining in the greenhouse, but the camera is outside, so there are a few spots. So I do apologise. I'll wipe that in a minute. Right, now in this tray here, what I'm going to sow, I'm only going to sow two of them, and then the other one I'll sow in a tray on its own. In this one I'm going to sow the big red ones, the beefsteak ones, and I'm going to sow them in this little section here. There are only 12, an average of 12 seeds in this pack for the big ones, so they don't need a huge amount of room. And the Green Zebra ones I'm going to sow in the rest of it because there's 75 in there. In the San Marzano too, there are 100 seeds, so they'll need a whole tray on its own. So I've just put some normal compost in. Actually, I've got some really posh compost here. This is John Innes #1. I needed to buy a small bag for something else, and I just had a little bit left, and as my compost out in the outside is actually very wet, I thought I would use this. So before we start sowing, we need to water the compost. Okay, now it will, I haven't compacted it, but the water will sit on it for quite a while, and then you can see it's soaking through. That's just because it's really dry, this compost. Okay, so wait for it all to soak through. In fact, I'm going to turn this round because then hopefully you can see this little section a little bit earlier. Now, just because these tomatoes are beefsteak and they are huge, doesn't mean to say that the seeds are going to be huge. In fact, the seeds are tiny. Can you see? The tiny seeds. They're the same size as normal tomato seeds. So all I'm going to do is very gently just sprinkle them across the top of the compost. There's a couple stuck between my fingers there, which isn't very helpful. There we are. And I think there's one more just in here. There we are. And then I just cover it with a little bit more compost. If you want to use multi-purpose, use multi-purpose. I usually do, but it's just because I've got this fancy stuff and I thought I'd use that instead. So that's the big ones done, and then I will just get on and do the green zebra ones. Right, well that's all of those done. Make sure you label them and label them properly so that you know which type are which one, otherwise it will get very, very confusing. And I will keep you updated on how they get on. Hopefully I will get some nice sizable ones, which would be good because I do like my tomatoes. But there are so many tomatoes out there for you to choose from. There's little tiny round ones, there's ones that you can grow in a pot on a windowsill, there's some that you can grow in hanging baskets outside, there are orange ones, there are yellow ones, there's so many different varieties. Purple ones I grew once and they did really, really well. So go and have a look and see what you fancy. Okay, and I will carry on with my other seeds, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.